long, I still want to record today. So that's important. All right, if it's negative, we're going to go the same direction as the hands on the clock. So this would be 0. Down here is negative 90. This is negative 180. Here is negative 270. And again, 0 is the same as negative 360. When we're talking about quadrant numbers, this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4, and that never changes. It doesn't matter if it's a positive angle or a negative angle, the quadrant numbers do not change. So I will ask you a lot of times, what quadrant are we in? Robin, what time does this class end? Was that 1:32?
Yeah.
1:32? Okay. Gotta make sure I gotta finish a little early. Okay, so let's go ahead and start graphing some angles. So go ahead and copy it down. We're gonna sketch these angles. A 60-degree angle, 250-degree angle, and negative 100. The main thing is, can you determine what quadrant we're going to fall in? What quadrant do you think 60 degrees is going to fall in? Show me with your fingers. What quadrant? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Quadrant 1. Okay, because this is 0. This is 90. 60 is in between 0 and 90, so that would be my 60-degree angle. All right, show me with your fingers. What about 250? What quadrant are you going to put that in? Quadrant 3. All right, this is 0. This is 90. This is 180. This is 270. 250 is in between 180 and 270, so that would be about here. And that would be your angle. About right there. Okay, negative 100. So now we're going to rotate clockwise. We're going this direction. Show me with your fingers. Where is negative 100? What quadrant is negative 100? I don't see any right answers. Negative 100. Should be in quadrant 3. Because this is 0. This is negative 90. Down here is negative 90. Here is negative 180. Negative 100 is in this quadrant, which is quadrant 3. This is still quadrant 3. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't change. So it should be here. But now I'm going to rotate that direction. Okay, we'll do 3 more. The Canvas assignment, for the first Canvas assignment, some of the questions are just asking you to click where the angle will be. So you just have to click with your mouse in the right quadrant to get those questions right for homework 1. All right, take a moment. I want you to, take a moment, copy these down. And sketch where you think they'll be. then we'll go through it together. Okay. Show me with your fingers 135. What quadrant are you clicking in? 135. Quadrant 2. This is 0. This is 90. And this is 180. 135 is in between 90 and 180, so it would be here. And that's quadrant 2. All right, what about negative 60? Show me with your fingers. 4, good job. This is 0 and this is negative 90. So that would be about here, and that would be your angle. All right, negative 290. Show me with your finger. Quadrant 1. This is 0, negative 90, negative 180. This is negative 270. And then this is also negative 360. So we would be somewhere in here, but keep in mind, notice which way I'm drawing my arc. That's the way it would be for a negative angle. All right, so just like, I can't think of anything that has only one unit of measure. If we're talking about time, we can measure in hours and seconds and days. If we're talking about length, we could do feet, we could do yards, we could do meters. When we're talking about angles, we have degrees and we have radians. So you don't need to copy this diagram down, but I just want to show you, if you were to create a circle and that circle had a radius of 1, that's what radian stands for, had a radius of 1. If I were to measure the circumference from here to here, it would be 3.14, which is pi. So the only thing you should write down on this page from this slide is that pi equals 180 degrees. That is your unit of conversion. From radians to degrees, 180 degrees is equal to pi. So where you have 180, so this will be 180 in degrees, and radians, I'm just going to call that pi, because 180 degrees is pi. All right, I'm going to have you all, let's talk about radians, and let's measure our coordinate plane. So we got positive. All right, so this is 0 and this is pi. Anyone want to take a guess what this would be? What is in between 0 and pi? What do you think is in the middle of 0 and pi?
90,
right? But in radians? 1/2 pi, or pi over 2. So this would be pi over 2. And down here would be 3 pi over 2. And 0 is the same as 2 pi. So that's if it's positive. If we're talking about a negative, same concept, except I'm going clockwise. This would be 0. This is negative pi over 2. This is negative pi. This is negative 3 pi over 2. And this is negative 2 pi. My quadrants do not change. This is still 1, 2, 3, and 4. That will never change. Now, the difficulty with radians is that it's a fraction. And a lot of times we struggle with fractions, figuring out what's greater than or less than. So I'm going to show you the Miss Bryant method to help you recognize where you're going to put the angle for a radian. And we'll only do a few more and then we'll end there because I need to pass out books. Okay. Let's go ahead and copy these 3 down. And I'm going to show you the Miss Bryant way. And what we're focusing on, I'm going to use my denominator to label my axes. That's what I'm going to use to figure out what to put. So we'll do these 3 and then we'll end there for today. And pick up here tomorrow. Before you pack up though, I am going to have you copy down the next 3 questions so that tomorrow when class starts, we can just get started. Okay, so keeping in mind what I said, if you know, we already know 2 things. I know that this is going to be 0 pi over 4. And this is 4 pi over 4. Do you agree with me that 4 pi over 4 is the same as pi? If you take 4 divided by 4, do you get 1?
Yes.
All right. So what do you think is going to be in the middle of 0 and 4? What number falls in the middle of 0 and 4?
2.
2. So up here, we're going to call this 2 pi over 4. So I'm counting by 2s. So 0, 2, 4. So what do you think this is going to be if I'm counting by 2s? 6. And this could also be 8 pi over 4. Okay. So this pi over 4 means 1 pi over 4. Where do you think 1 is going to fall? Is it between 0 and 2, 2 and 4, 4 and 6, or 6 and 8? So what quadrant, show me with your fingers, are you going to put pi over 4? It's quadrant 1. Because 1 is in between 0 and 2. 1 is in between 0 and, 0 and 2. Yeah. All right, any questions about that one? I have to erase this so I can do the next one. All right, so my next one has a 6. So let me show you how I'm going to label mine. All right, so if it's 6, this is going to be 0 over 6. Over here is 6 over 6. What's half of 6? So at the top would be 3 over 6. So I'm counting by 3s now. 0, 0, 3, 6. So what would come next if I'm counting by 3s? 9. Okay, so this should help you figure out where is 5 going to fall. Show me with your fingers where you're gonna put 5. 1, 2, 3, or 4. And it's just been my experience that kids tend to do better if they renumber the axis, because all of these simplify to what we started off with. 3/6 is still pi over 2, and 6/6 is still pi, and 9/6 is still 3/2. All right, the only thing that we're changing is what we're counting by. All right, so that would be in quadrant 2. And our last one is, again, going back to what we started off with. We're counting by 4. So this would be, we're counting over 4. So this would be 0. This is 2 pi over 4. 4 pi over 4. 6 pi over 4. And then we're returning here, which is 8 pi over 4. So 5 pi over 4. Show me with your fingers. So what quadrant? Yeah. So this is 0. This is 2. This is 4. We can agree that 5 is bigger than 4, right? So it's going to be over here somewhere, because 5 is in between 4 and 6. So that would be here. It would be in quadrant 3. All right, I'm going to put up the next 3 questions for you to write down, and we will start with those tomorrow. Go ahead and copy those down. When I call your name, you can come up and grab your book and bring it over to me so I can copy down your book number.